Good evening, everyone. In the previous lecture, we studied O. Henry's biography and briefly about his works. So, in this lecture, we will study his short story collection. So, let us begin. First is Cabbages and Kings was his first collection of stories, and this collection was followed by the 4 million, that is another collection of short stories. The second collection opens with a reference to Ward McAllister's claim that there were only 400 people in New York City who were really worth noticing. But a wiser man has arisen, the census taker, and his larger estimate of human interest has been preferred in marking out the field of these little stories of the 4 million. His final work was Dream, a short story intended for the magazine The Cosmopolitan. But this work was never completed. Among his most famous stories are The Gift of Maggie. The Gift of Maggie is about a young couple, Jim and Della, who are short of money but are desperately in want to buy each other Christmas gifts. Unbeknownst to Jim, Della sells her most valuable possession, her beautiful hair, in order to buy a platinum fob chain for Jim's watch. While, unbeknownst to Della, Jim sells his own most valuable possession, his watch, to buy jewel combs for Della's hair. The essential premise of the story has been copied, reworked, parodied, and otherwise retold countless times in the century since it was written. Next is The Ransom of Red Chief. In Ransom of Red Chief, two men kidnap a boy of 10 years old to ransom him. The boy turns out to be so spoiled and obnoxious that the desperate men ultimately pay the boy's father $250 to take him back. And the next one is The Cop and the Anthem. This story is about a New York City hobo named Soapy who sets out to get arrested so that he can be a guest of the city jail instead of sleeping out in the cold winter. Despite his best efforts at committing petty theft, vandalism, disorderly conduct, and flirting with a young prostitute, Soapy fails to draw the attention of the police. Dejected, he stops in front of a church where an organ anthem inspires him to clean up his life. However, he is charged with loitering and sentenced to 3 months in prison. Next story is a retrieved reformation that tells the tale of a safecracker, Jimmy Valentine. Jimmy Valentine is a man recently freed from prison. He goes to a town bank to case it before he robs it. As he walks to the door, he catches the eye of the banker's beautiful daughter. They immediately fall in love, and Valentine decides to give up his criminal career. He moves into the town, taking up the identity of Ralph Spencer, a shoemaker. Just as he is about to leave to deliver his specialized tool to an old associate, a lawman recognizes him, arrives at the bank. Jimmy and his fiancée and her family are at the bank inspecting a new safe when a child accidentally gets locked inside the airtight vault. Knowing it will seal his fate, Valentine opens the safe to rescue the child. However, Much to Valentine's surprise, the lawman denies recognizing him and lets him go. Next story is the duplicity of Hargraves, a slave who gives him money to settle an old family debt. He accepts. It is later revealed that Hargraves secretly portrayed the slave. The Caballero's Way, in which Porter's most famous character, the Cisco Kid, is introduced. It was first published in 1907 in the July issue of Everyday's magazine and collected in the book Heart of the West that same year. In later film and television depictions, the kid would be portrayed as a dashing adventurer, perhaps skirting the edges of the law, but primarily on the side of the angels. In the original short story, the only story by Porter to feature the character, the kid is a murderous, ruthless border desperado whose trail is dodged by a heroic Texas Ranger. So, friends, that is all about O. Henry's short stories and their collections. We briefly discussed their content and the matter they contained. So, that is all for today. We will meet in the next lecture with another author and his or her works.